Sure.
Hey guys, we're gonna pull it together a little bit. I suspect we're gonna have some stragglers in. For those of you who don't know me, and I'm not that interesting, I'm Paul Scanlon. I'm the director of the Financial Resource Lab here at Providence. I wanted to say on behalf of the business school, and Dean Maxfield had a conflict, so she can't be here. But we're so pleased to have Coach English join us. You know, and I was asking him before, is this his first time talking and speaking at business school? And we're kind of catching him as he's kind of getting acclimated to Providence. So we're among one of his first kind of formal student speaking events. We do have a Zoom link, just so Coach is aware. I'm going to turn it over to Jack Hurley, who kind of organized it with the Finance Society. But before we do that, big hand for Coach English.
Yeah, so thank you all for coming today. And just being thankful. I gotta thank Kim English and the rest of the Finance Society crew for making this happen today. So Kim just came here from George Mason, and he's the new head coach at Providence College. I'm sure we all know that already. And the big part of him coming here was the mindset, right? When he came to Providence, he always brought that in. And I feel like in a way or so, we've all been able to use that in our own school lives, our own academic lives. Sometimes things get tough, but you gotta adjust to that and use it. Have a good mindset is a great tool to have. So opening it up to Kim, and I just want first question being, how can we incorporate mindset into our professional and academic lives?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So mindset is everything for our program, and it's I've said this a few times, right? But it's not a slogan, right? It's not a marketing. Although there's selling shirts in the bookstores, and, you know, I wasn't a big fan of, like, I guess for lack of a better term, like the emasculation of mindset, because like it's a mantra, like it's really, really, really important to our program, you know, what the word means. And so it's a book entitled Mindset by Carol Dweck. Read it a long time ago when I just started coaching, and I referenced stories from the book. I referenced mindset to our guys a lot, all the time. I read stories, you know, throughout the season. And Nate Tomlinson, one of our assistant coaches, who's a future star, he's going to be a head coaching star. He was like, man, let's really own it. Let's really like own it, and so we really started introducing it to our team as like rallying cry. You know, if things go bad, mindset. You know, or if bad call, bad moment, bad day in class, an injury, things go well. You know, it's just what's your mindset. And like someone look up what Webster has for mindset. What's it say? I've done this in a few years.
Mental attitude or inclination.
Another definition. What else? An alternate definition.
That is, yeah, Webster.
Something else. Something about attributes or attitude.
The established set of attitudes held by some.
That's the one. Say it again.
The established set of attitudes held by some.
The established set of attitudes or attributes held by someone or a team, you know, about connectivity and culture. And what I really love about that definition is the word established. It's established. Like, and it was really, you know, I was really proud of how it is established in our guys that came with us from George Mason. You know, when we took Josh Aduro and Tiki Gaines, at first there was like scuttlebutt out there about like if they could compete at, you know, a higher level or whatever. But you know, right from day one, when we started practicing, they have that mindset is established in them. So if it's established, great. But it's our role as a team and a staff and a program to help establish a great mindset for all our guys. You know, before I answer your question, one more thing about mindset I think is important. When I talk about this with, not to class anyone, but like people from older generations, right? What generation would you guys be? What would you say? Gen Z, or millennials? Like older generations try to like class you guys as like soft, or like, oh, this new generation, they don't know how hard we had it, right? And like, I combat that with furious anger. Like, I think our players, you guys, have the ability to possibly have the best mindset of all time. And I'll debate anyone about it. Like, you guys' generation have lived a life where terror attacks are like normal to you. Grown up seeing mass shootings in like every different avenue, school, church, nightclub, movie theater. You guys had to go through a global pandemic. Unless you're 90 or 80 years old or 100 years old, you didn't have to experience that. You guys have seen violence on your TVs and camera phones your whole lives. You know, the isolation that came with COVID and the pandemic. So, you know, I believe that our players, this generation, has the ability to have some of the dopest, toughest mindsets of all time. Now to answer your question, how can you incorporate it into business? You know, for us, it's a challenge, and it's a never-ending challenge to always be right-minded, to always be focused, and it's a fight against human nature. You know, so I don't know, when a referee makes a bad call, what does everyone do? What does human nature tell you to do? Right, so arms up, sulk, complain, make this face, you know, make an excuse to the coach. But mindset, you know, like the most important thing is the next play. If that's a live ball turnover, if that's a missed shot, we don't have time. That isn't a live, we're playing a live defense where no matter what happened to you, no matter what happened to you, we can't let them score. So no one cares in this moment. No one cared that Jaden Pierre hurt his groin and Garway Duval was suspended. No one cared, right? But we had to play a game against someone, an opponent who wants to beat us yesterday. And when people are scrolling the ESPN at night, like it's no like sympathy asterisk that says Providence was missing 2 players, right? Like give them a pass. No one cares. You win or you lose. It's a zero-sum game, you know. And so I think that, you know, the athlete with the elite mindset that knows how to be a teammate, that has great work ethic, could be a great asset to any business or organization. Are there any other questions that I could kind of go off of here?
Oh, this is totally different track, but I just looking at your career, whether NBA or overseas, and now you're coaching college kids and they have NIL money coming in. So to bring that around to, you know, Finance Club, what do you tell young people who you've met in your life, or the kids you're coaching now that are coming into large sums of money?
Yeah.
Probably a lot more money than they've ever made in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. A lot more money than they've ever made, a lot more money than pretty much any college athlete has ever made ever. So try to, through education, bringing in CPAs, bringing in money managers, you know, people from all walks of the finance world to just help those guys, help our guys see the tremendous advantage that they have. I was flat broke in college, right? When I was drafted to the NBA, I had $0 in my checking account. At the University of Missouri, I got $880 a month. My rent was $500. Okay, I had $380 to live for 30 days. I honestly don't know how I did it with my phone, gas. You know, we couldn't, the team couldn't even feed us. So being able to get done with college and have a base, a nest egg to build upon, it's an incredible advantage. And it's the way it should be. If American is about capitalism, you should be able to benefit off your name, image, and likeness. You know, but from a tax standpoint, it's really important that we educate them on what they're doing so that they're taking care of Uncle Sam, but also that they can develop some investment strategies at an early age. If it's retirement, if it's saving, if it's stocks, if it's whatever it is, if it's real estate, whatever it is, you know, but make sure that, and it's really important to us that the education our guys receive extends beyond the classroom, you know. So yeah, that's a great question. But with our collective, the Fryer Family Collective, there's an education component to it. So our guys do meet about taxes and meet about investing. And we kind of have checkups, you know, to make sure they're doing the right thing when they do receive funds, as far as most importantly, making sure they're not spending 100% of every dollar, because you know, we know it's not all theirs. Yeah.
There was a time in your life that you thought mindset was like extraordinary, like super helpful more than others. Is there a specific moment?
That's a good question.
There's a period of time where you thought,
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm an open book. I'm honest, but you know, I'm not married anymore, but I have 2 daughters, and I'm a coach. So there was a time in my life where I had to do 2 jobs. I had to be a father and a coach, and I had to be a father and a coach in 2 different places. You know, my daughters, for about half the season, when I was in Knoxville, they were living in Missouri. I was coaching in Knoxville, Tennessee. But like I was girls, you know, they're here right now in Providence. They were with us in the Bahamas. And so the SEC schedule is set up the same with Big East. You have a midweek game and you have a weekend game, usually on Saturdays. You know, but I gotta be a father and I gotta be a coach, and no one cares, right? I have to do both those things. So for about maybe the entire, from December until March, I drove 8 hours after our Saturday game. We play Saturday, no matter what time, home or road. If it was road and we landed in Knoxville, I would drive from Knoxville, Tennessee to Columbia, Missouri through the night. I get there at about 6 a.m. usually. My daughters wake up at 8. I spend all day with my daughters, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. I take a nap. When they took a nap, they take a nap from 12 to 2 every day. Sorry, from 1:30 to 3:30 every day. I take a nap. Put them to sleep at 7:30. At 7:30 p.m. I get back in the car and I drive from Columbia, Missouri to Knoxville, Tennessee. I'd sleep till about 11. I'd get up and I'd go into practice and do it all again the next week, you know, and, you know, FaceTime with them as much as every day, obviously, but that was a tough patch. We reconnected in DC, but that was a tough stretch. But again, no one cares, you know, You have to be a great father. You have to be a great coach. And, that was a time that, my mindset was put to the test because it was a really hard, period for me. So.
Has your personal goals changed as a coach coming from George Mason to Providence?
Have my personal goals?
Yeah, your personal
No.
coaching goals.
Not at all. No, no. I've told this story a few times. I had the wrong mindset when I became a pro player, right? I was told this story a few times. My goal my entire life was to get to the NBA, and I was obsessed about it. I was the hardest worker. I lived in the gym, worked, was obsessed. I was a great teammate. It was about winning. It was just, I was gonna get to the NBA and no one was gonna stop me. And when I did, I thought I reached my dream. I thought I made it. And I let down my guard, and everyone told me I would have such a long career in the NBA. You're a likable guy, you can shoot, you're gonna be a great locker room guy. And it was the absolute wrong dream. It was the wrong mindset. And it was fatal to my career. I let my guard down. I didn't have that killer instinct, killer drive and work ethic. And my NBA career was over after one season in Detroit and a training camp in Chicago. A cup of coffee in Europe for a couple of years, but I had no interest in playing in Europe. I was an NBA player. But thankfully I had a backup plan. I always known that I was going to get into coaching. I just thought it would be like now, like when I was 35, 36, I would start my coaching journey. So I just started at 26. And I vowed to never make that mistake again. So my goal in coaching was to get as many players as I can to have successful NBA careers, be successful professionals abroad or in business, to win championships. Like, that's been my goal. So that was my mindset at Tulsa. And at Tulsa, I was obsessed about it, and I didn't think I never courted or looked at or had my eye on another job. It was Tulsa. And I turned down an incredible assistant coaching opportunity at Tulsa just because I was naive. I just happy here. Why'd I got to go somewhere else? And then eventually I did. I left for Colorado because I felt like it was room for growth. Growth is really important to me. I want to always be learning, growing, new leagues, new teams, new challenges. And I was at the University of Colorado, and I thought it was the best job in the country. And I was never leaving Colorado. And I was so locked into us winning a national championship, Pac-12 championships, McKinley Wright to the NBA, Tyler Bay to the NBA, George King to the NBA, and then Tennessee. And then an opportunity to be a head coach at George Mason, a program that had already been to a Final Four in 2006, elevated conferences to the Atlantic 10. And that was my focus there. But what I did realize at George Mason, and as the shift in college basketball, and it's a credit to the Big East, it's really hard to win a national championship, because it's hard to get to the NCAA tournament in a league that it's only sending one team. Right? It's 15 teams in the Atlantic 10. One team that won the conference tournament. So now you're looking at the way scheduling is. And at George Mason, I'm trying to play every big team in the country. We played Maryland, we played Georgia, we played Kansas, we played Auburn, we went at Wisconsin. We tried to get, but it's hard to get those games. So an opportunity like Providence comes alive, and the first thing that I thought of, what do you think? What's the first thing I thought of the first time I heard I had a chance to possibly coach at Providence? What do you think the first thing that popped in my mind?
Your Friar family lived down.
Nope.
Can I win a national championship?
Where's that?
Can I win a championship?
Around it, but why? What do you think?
The conference,
The conference, that's kind of it. What do you think?
make the tournament.
You're getting closer, but why do I have a better chance of making a tournament at Providence?
More Big East teams.
Quad one games. That's the first thing I thought of when I first heard Providence as an option. Quad 1 games. And we could get like 25 games in quad 1 and quad 2. You know, I was sick we lost to Kansas State because we didn't get a chance in Miami, right? Another quad 1 game. You know, so now, man, I see the facilities, the atmosphere, the fan base, the league, the history, the fan base again. And it's such a great place. But it's a place you can win it all. We have everything you need, everything you would ever want as a head coach here at PC. I got to see it, I've known it, but opening night, the other night against Columbia, that crowd, it's incredible. It's incredible. In the Bahamas this past weekend, I sat down for both of the games. And I said on the bench, I was like, man, this is a home game. You know, as we're thinking about our Thanksgiving tournaments, they're called MTEs, multi-team events. You know, I don't know if this is out yet, but we have one that's local next year. And then we have an open one, and then we're going to Maui. I don't know if that's out either, but whatever. Maui. And then we're thinking about another one. And this morning in our staff meeting, all I was thinking about with the schedule of these MTEs is we got to make it places that Providence fans are going to want to come to. We can keep having these home games on neutral courts, you know, because when it comes time for Selection Sunday, neutral court wins and like gold, you know. So no, my goals haven't changed at all, but Providence presents a path to my goals, our goals, the shared goals, shared purpose. That's attainable. Yeah.
Coach, because it's a business school, I ask like the old guy business school question. You've been a college athlete, you've been a professional athlete, you're an assistant, you're here. A lot of our students are very interested in the business of sports and getting to that. What's your perspective on that and the best way to chase it and the merits of that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd say the best way to chase it is get in it. Get in it. There's a great book by a guy named Bob Bodine. It's called The Power of Who. Power of Who. You know everyone you need to know right now to land your dream job, right? And it's so if you get in the industry, if you get in sports as an intern, as a volunteer, as a summer intern, or maybe a low paying entry level position, the social capital you'll get if you're good. If you're not good, this doesn't matter. If you're good, and having those relationships will pay huge dividends. Here's what I'll say about sports biz, is that leadership matters. The top matters. Player acquisition matters. Players you have, coaching are important. Those are three things. But what I've learned to really, really value as a coach, that whatever your part is, if it's marketing, if it's tickets, if it's social media, if it's operations, whatever your part is, I've really gravitated to people that think and feel like they impact winning. I've had a hard time at places that I've been where it's just company people that have been there. It's nothing wrong with being at a place for a long time. There are a lot of those people at Providence. These aren't the people I'm talking about. It's people that have just been at a place for 25 years, and this is what we've done for 25 years, and it's status quo, and this is what we did. It's like you want to find people that wake up with a rigor and a fire that think their part impacts winning. Because as a coach, I really believe it does. Like, I would be foolish to think that I am the most important person on game day. Like, you'd be foolish. It's so many moving pieces and parts to the puzzle. And Steve Napolillo and Kevin Conley and Greg Waldron and John Sweeney and Father Sicard and Kevin Kerbeck and TJ Grams and Nick Rojas and Arthur Parks, so many people with their hand on this baby, right? This program, have such huge roles in its success. So my 2 words of advice: get in any way you can, and work really, really hard, and let it show your passion for the task, not the job. Like, if you think it's a job, it's not going to go well. It's one thing about COVID I've seen. It's like in hiring, it's become, and we get this in coaching too, players, right? This is something that I've noticed, and I could be wrong, in business. It seems like everyone is trying to get the job that they can work remote at. Right? It's like, how little do I have to be there? Do you have a signing bonus for this? How little do I have to work to get the most money? I say that's the value. So on the coaching side, there are players out there that, it sounds practice 7. See them rolling in at 6:55, right? How long does it take me to tie my shoes and get on the court? I want to do just what I'm, it's how many reps is it on curls? 11? 11. It's 10 and a half. But they want the minutes in games. They want to play well. So that's a reality. That's a reality in life. But in sport, it doesn't work. The guys that work the hardest have the most success. It's a fact. It's a law. It's like Isaac Newton. It's a law. And I think it's the same on the business side as well. Someone else has a question?
So like going off that, you talked about players, and you're recruiting, how much do you think about, I guess, mindset? You're looking at a guy, obviously a tremendous player, obviously, how much you look at off the court when he does, how you can move himself. Is it hard to
It's important. It's hard to know because everyone's parents and coaches are going to say they're the best, ever. We try to get as much intel as we can. We talk to kids a lot and asking questions. You can see, how a kid ticks. But for us, toughness and competitiveness, it's a pretty high. It's where we start. And then the requisite skills thereafter. But yeah, we try to get as much information and intel on the kids as we can. But you can learn a lot about a kid watching them play, because adversity happens in games and you get to see how they respond. But you're not going to have any, that's not true. It's very rarely you find a kid with an elite mindset as a high school kid. It's something you can build. It's something we have to be committed to building. And it's something that's gotten better since we've been here. It's not easy. It's to have it, it's against human nature. And we clip it and show it. Like, here's the thing, we're not there yet, but we don't flop as a team. You won't see us flop. A couple guys still do a little bit. It's not completely out of them. We're not trying to like fool the officials. We did a couple of times in the Bahamas, and it like makes me sick. Hate watching players try to fool the official. I think it's soft. I think it's a sign of weakness. It's like, you don't think you're strong enough, as this podium is trying to back me down. You don't think you're strong enough to be forceful. You got to flop. Like, that's mindset. That's mindset. We like this, and we pointed out, you got to show. Steph Curry has a line. He says, "You don't know your game until you see it on film." We had a guy, game 2 against Milwaukee. He fell. Okay, so what? And he's at the free throw line, and he's like, "Boss, look at your face." Right? Like, that's not mindset. That's fix your face. They don't have to know that. Kobe Bryant shot 2 free throws with a torn Achilles. right? Like, but you can, so it could be a great player. We can teach it, we can improve it. It's a great clip against St. John's last season. Justin Moore from Villanova went up for a layup and he fell flat on his back. And in Villanova, it's attitude. Justin Moore just gets right up, walks to the free throw line straight, cold blood, makes the free throws. You know, so yeah.
So I know you mentioned like a little earlier, guys like, Ticket Gaines coming with you from George Mason, and they already had that mindset. How do you think the guys that you've like just started coaching, how do you think they've adapted to like mindset and to your coaching?
It's been great. It's been great. Because I was super elated to get to coach all the guys that we got to inherit and stay, because one, they had a physical toughness, they had a physical competitiveness and physicality that, you have to have if you're going to compete in the Big East. It's such a physical, tough, strong league. But that stuff has been improving since day one, and I also have, empathy. Like Corey Floyd, Devin Carter, and Bryce Hopkins are on their third head coach in 3 seasons of college basketball. They're on their 9th batch of assistant coaches, their 3rd team of teammates. Like, Bryce might be the only player in the history of college basketball that plays against both his 2 former coaches in his sophomore and junior seasons. Played against John Calipari last year. He's going to play against Coach Cooley this season. So, like, it's I have to get to know them first, right? I get to know them. I have to build trust first. I have to build trust in them before I can start calling out things that I see. They've taught me so much, about being a coach and a leader. But I couldn't be more proud to be in their coach. And honestly, before the mindset stuff is being taught, and it's how close we can become as a team. That's what this team's focus and values on. And I don't think we did a great job of moving the ball in the Bahamas. We'll kind of get back to it this week in practice, but that's a great way to show how connected a team, how quickly we sprint to guys that fall down, how quickly we huddle up, as a team. Like Luke Fonts is one of my favorite players ever because of his energy. Donovan Santoro, who's logged like no minutes, best energy on the bench. Like, we have to come together as a team and a family first. Like, that's the most important thing. Shaka Smart is a good friend, and we talk a lot throughout the season. And every time I would talk to him last season, the first thing he would say to me about his team? He'd say, "So lucky I have a group of guys that love each other." It's the most important thing in sports. It's the most important thing of any culture, of any great culture. First, there has to be safety. Then there has to be trust. And then there has to be shared purpose.
You're talking a little bit earlier about building mindset. What are some of the steps in starting to build a stronger and better mindset?
First, those 3 things I just said. First, establishing safety. They know this is a place. There's a book, The Talent Code, Daniel Coyle, that made a huge impact on how I coach, how we train, how we improve. Safety is first. So many kids, so many people are just afraid of failure, like petrified of it. And it's literally the only way you can improve. So it's weird. Like, we may do a ball handling drill in practice, and it may be dribble between, right? And you're doing this. And the kid might be doing a great job, he thinks. He's not losing the ball. But he's doing the worst job, right? Because when you were 11 months old and you were learning to walk, it didn't go like this, right? It didn't go like this your first time taking steps. What happened? Fell, and then you fell again, and then you fell again, and then you fell again. But myelin myelin is just building around this circuit in your brain, the walk circuit in your brain, and you learn. So we try to get our guys, our team to understand that, like, we want you to fail in practice. We failed against Kansas State. We failed. But like, let's watch it. Why do we foul 4 jump shooters? Right? Why do we miss these layups? Like, we don't want to lose. We don't ever want to, but if we do, let's learn from it. What if that loss is the reason we win a Big East road game later? I think that loss was worth it. So safety is first. To understand that failure is okay. They have to have trust. And then shared purpose. If there's not shared purpose, none of this matters. None of this matters if there's not shared purpose. But I don't think you can get to shared purpose before you get to safety and trust.
I was gonna ask a question. You came here with a new group of people you work with. So you're asked to wear multiple hats, right? You're like running the business of basketball, you're coach. How about what you look for in your coworkers and the guys that are your assistants or your strength and conditioning coach?
They all came with me from George Mason, all but one. One of my assistant coaches at George Mason got the head job at American University, Dwayne Simpkins. And so I hired one new coach who coached me at the University of Missouri, a guy named Tim Fuller. For me, it's work ethic, intelligence, and integrity. Those are the 3. And integrity probably being the most important one of the 3. Is like, I like to sleep at night. I have to know what's going on is right, what everyone's doing is right, and because we represent so much more than ourselves. I represent my family's name. I represent our players. I represent this college. I represent, my university. I represent so much more than just myself. We're asking parents to trust us with their children. It's a big passing of a baton. So the integrity piece is important for me. And the work ethic and intelligence piece, because I just believe hard work wins, and I believe smart work really wins. It's really, really, really hard to win the college basketball game. Every single one of them, it is hard. You're playing against someone else that is fighting for their lives, they're fighting for career, fighting to feed their families. For you to beat them, it is hard. So I just really want to surround myself with smart, hardworking people so we can beat them.
Kind of a long-winded question here. Since it's no secret that your predecessor was big, not only in terms of basketball here, but also kind of in marketing the business that is Providence College. And I know you said earlier you're not a huge fan of the way that the mindset mantra has kind of been like merchandised, but it seems like you've done a really good job at taking that role as being the face of the school in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I want to know how you manage that, because those were pretty big shoes to fill.
Yeah. I just try to, as organically as I can, just immerse myself in this community. I think what Coach Cooley did here the last 12 years, he and Nat, Bob Driscoll and Father Sicard and Father Shanley and every person that has been a part of Providence College basketball and where it is when it was handed to me. I'm just so thankful to every one of you that this program is in great shape. It's a great program, great fiber and value. For me, it's just not a strategy. It's not a I'm just me. Like, I'm just me. And I'm glad that I'm doing a good job. Thank you.
I see it on the billboard.
But
it says mindset now. Again.
That's gone. It says welcome to Friday now.
Oh.
Which one? On the end?
They're coming up 95 north.
On the end?
I don't know if you drive.
Or is it
Not on the
billboard?
AM, it's on the billboard.
No, welcome to Friartown now. That's gone. But that was cool.
Yeah,
That was cool. And it was natural and organic. No one asked me. They just did it. Like it's again, this is Nax athletic department. This is Fathers of Cars, college, but and I love the embracing, the student body, the fan bases embracing of mindset. I just want to make sure, you just know what it is, what it means to us,
When you're recruiting, are you ever asked about mindset or explain mindset to the people you're recruiting?
Absolutely.
How does that go? Is it similar to what you were just explaining?
Yeah, it's just, recruiting's organic. I'm just getting to know you. I'm just getting to know you. It's not like I'm not selling anyone a car. Right? There are some people that Providence is not for. And that's okay. Like, that's okay. There's so many players. And we're going to get the right players that really want to be Friars because it's different. I got to see it. Honestly, it hit me in the Bahamas. This small school with 5,000, less than 5,000 enrollment, big schools are graduating 10,000 kids at a time for 100 years. Small college, but our fan base was the loudest there, the loudest, most vocal, most strong. And it's just like this small state with this big fight and power. Like, obviously, all these young alumni, obviously, everyone that's been a part of it loved their experience at PC. Joe Calabria, who's celebrating his 80th birthday today, he's there with his wife. Otis Thorpe is there. All these former players are there, fans of all students, young alumni, old alumni. So it's like, we don't take lightly what we're bringing a young person into. So yes, we discuss mindset. Kids use it on us all the time. Recruiting, they say it, but it's like, it's real. The process of implementing that mindset starts before they get to us. What we do, what we don't do. Our recruitment really turns into coaching once we find some level of commonality between the kids. It's really not. I don't spend much time telling the kids how great they are. When I go watch them play, I tell them the things they could have done better. Yeah, sure.
So obviously you've had a long career, like made to the peak basketball, NBA basketball. What is something that you've learned coaching about the game that you never would have known maybe playing? Like a new perspective. What top thing that you've learned coaching that whole new perspective brought?
Yeah. I'd say how much both sides of the ball are married. How much defense is married to offense. I'd quantify that and say, as a young player, I didn't understand how much planning actually went into the game. As an older player, I was very much in tune to all our coaches did. I had a different relationship with my coaches as I became a senior and a professional. I had a really intimate relationship of exchanging film. I would try to help my coaches. If I heard something on the court, if you're the point guard bringing the ball up court and you say side thumb back, I'd yell side thumb back to the bench to try to help them help us later. Some players, there's so many levels to basketball, not actual levels, like the actual game. Like, there are players that are on the court and have no clue what they're doing. They are on the court just reacting to every pass of the ball. It's just fun, and if I catch it and shoot it, it's then there are guys that know maybe what they have to do. Like, this is the play. I am supposed to be here, and then I'm supposed to pass it here, right? But those players, what if the pass here isn't open? Then there are the players that know what they have to do and what everyone else have to do. So they might know a counter. That player might know I get here, and if he's not open, I have to go here, right? That's good. Then did I say 5 levels? Did I say how many levels of players there were? I didn't say, no, I said a lot of them. Yeah. Okay, good. I'll make 4 and 5 be the same level. And then it's the player that knows exactly what everyone has to do and what they're looking to exploit. That's Nikola Jokic, that's Luka Doncic, that's Steph Curry, that's Jason Kidd. They are playing the game 3 steps ahead. You know, I didn't see that as a player. As a coach and as a teacher, that's what we're trying to get our guys to see now. It's not just what play we're running, it's why are we running that play and what are we looking for and who are we targeting and why is it open and why is it not and where should we pass the ball? That's how my IQ grew as a player. I would watch basketball and I'd replay, and I just ask those questions over what, where, why, who, how, when. What, where, when, who, how, when, what, who, where, why. Why? Oh, why? That's why. You know? Yeah.
So one of the big things when you decided to come here was that we all knew you were a big like players coach and like keeping the morale up. One of the big critiques was that can you be a good X and O coach? So right now you're doing nothing but proving them wrong. But like during the off season, how do you deal with the criticism for you as well as your team?
I am oblivious to it. I'm not on social media in season. Off season, it's more like it's just, again, I'm just existing. I'm just post my daughters, I post us in the gym. I'm just like, it's fun. I am oblivious to every word that is ever said about our team in season. Not one tweet, not one Instagram post, not one article. I have no clue because it does not matter. Like I'd flip it and say, what if everyone said this coach is the best X's and O's coach ever that has ever invented, and his team is going to pick to finish first in the Big East Conference? What would matter? November 6th, when the ball is thrown up, that's all that matters. You know, so for us, we're focused on Coach Reed's Lehigh team right now. And they play tonight, watching the film, preparing for them, focused on our guys, helping guys play well, hoping guys figure some stuff out, helping guys play better, keeping our guys that aren't playing engaged. You know, one of our players' family is going through a tough time. You know, there's so much stuff to worry about within the group, within the team, that what's said about me doesn't, because on game day it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the score at the end of the game. That's it. So I try to, and I wish my players did the same. Like, you know, I actually do a few times in season get on social media to just get the pulse of the guys. I encourage my young guys on staff to follow what's happening, because, you know, we have a rule after like our first game, we beat Columbia and we break the huddle, and it's all like, you know, every win should be celebrated. Every win is like, every win in this generation, it's like we break, we say prayer, amen, family on 3, 1, 2, 3, family. And it is a drug, it is addicting, you know, the apps. You know, so we have a policy now after wins. You know, when we break and the song starts playing in the locker room, one song, no phones. Spend that time with your brothers. After a loss, not many, 2 minutes, no phones. Sit in it, in silence, talk about it. Let's talk about it. Get it off your chest. What'd you see? You know, I would love to do like a social project with one team. Maybe when I have a little bit more capital with them, just say, yo, let's try it. No social in season. It's the best. It's the best. Because I don't know. But it doesn't matter. it's all a distraction. If it's good or if it's bad, it's a distraction. John Wooden said it. He said, praise is just as bad as criticism. It's a distraction. So if they said I'm a bad X and O's coach, I better.
Like, what mindset would you say, like, you go into each day with, and, like, how do you try to, like, live each day and reach that, like, mindset of the team? It seems like, just from, like, watching so far, you guys are, like, very tough, defensive oriented, like, if I were to ask you, like, Coach English, how would you define mindset? What would you say? In your own words.
I like the definition you said. I like that definition. I just say the answer to it, I'd say being in the right frame of mind at all times. Being mission focused at all times. Focusing on the next action at all times. And for me, it's, Nick Saban, he said it's just being where your feet are. And that's a challenge for our guys. Pressures of performing, pressures of the NBA. So be where your feet are. So right now, I am a little bit in my mind thinking about the Wisconsin-Virginia game. I'm not gonna lie. If someone tells me a score, I won't be mad at you right now. But I am wholly right here with you guys right now. That's all I'm thinking about. And
Wisconsin won by 14 points.
it's fine.
14, 65, 41, Wisconsin.
It's fine.
24 points.
They won by 24. Yeah. So now that I know that, I'm back here. I focus on where I am right now. And tomorrow I'll do the same.
For a big game like Georgetown, has mindset changed at all, or is it like even keeled throughout?
No, it's like, man, we have so far to go for January 27th. Like, we have so many games to play. And, mindset's so important because obviously there's natural emotions going on all over everywhere. But basketball game has to be played. A basketball game where your elusiveness and touch and skill is important. So you have to be right-minded, you have to be focused. So, the answer is no. This is a game that we want to execute. It's a game we've not even thought about. It's Lehigh right now, and then Wagner, and then Rhode Island, and then Oklahoma, Brown, Sacred Heart, and Marquette, Butler, and that's the focus. That's what it is. That's the only thing you can control. Like when we first got here, I would be like, Coach, Georgetown game. How would you guys feel if we went 2-29? What if we swept Georgia? We went 2-29. How'd you feel? So it's like one game is the most important thing.
Or just like a comment, but as like a fan of Providence basketball, like you can tell the hustle of like every player on the team has changed from last year to this year. And I think like the whole mindset mentality, just watching you like ticket, you see that guy on the floor like every 2 seconds and stuff like that. I'm watching it as a fan, it's just so much more enjoyable, honestly. So
again, I have a ton of respect for everything Coach Cooley did here, and but yeah, we're gonna hopefully continue to play really hard and compete and defend and share the ball, and hopefully making some free throws and stuff.
Well, if there's no more questions, then I think we're trying to wrap it up. And just
But who doesn't have students? Who doesn't have tickets to games? You don't,
no season tickets, but
no season tickets. I've been going around randomly on game day, handing out like 6 or 7 tickets to games. So if you see me on a game day, just stop me. I'll probably have some tickets in my pocket. And I'll give you some if you don't. I want to make sure that probably won't, but I want to make sure every student at least has a chance to come to games, at least one. You guys have been incredible. It is on par with Kansas and Kentucky, the support we have here. And that's don't take it for granted at all. Thank you guys.